Nothing but shorts. Every year we have a workshop for 2 days. We run movies that we don't even know what they are. The point of the workshop is to figure that out. So we've shown a lot of film in here. We've shown 35 millimeter, we've shown 16 millimeter, we've shown video. We've beamed high def files from our third floor laboratory down to the booth and shown. But what we've never done here until tonight is show a 70 millimeter print. So tonight's a very special night, and I thank you for coming. If you like 70 millimeter, come back tomorrow. We will be showing The Deer Hunter. So it's an all 70 weekend. As with last night, we have a special guest with us who's going to introduce the film. I read a real gushing bio I found on the web about him that said how wonderful, intelligent of a guy he was. And I checked to make sure he didn't write his own bio, but he didn't. Bruce Lawton is a film historian. He has worked on some restoration projects. He actually at one point worked on a project to put out a restored version of the soundtrack for this film. And so he knows a lot of stuff. He puts on silent film programs along with a couple other guys up in New York, and the Silent Clown series is the longest running silent film series in New York. They also, I'd heard, just got re-upped for a 5th year at the Alden Theater up in McLean. Fourth year up in McLean, Virginia. So if you like Bruce, you can see him 4 or 5 times a year, even though he comes from Princeton, New Jersey. But to introduce the film tonight, a real good friend and a real knowledgeable guy about film and about this film in particular, Bruce Lawton.
And as I said last night, it's such a great pleasure and privilege to be here at Library of Congress. I feel when I come here, and I've now been coming here for a number of times a year for several years now, that it's like visiting family. I've got good friends here, Rob, who you just heard from, Larry Smith, who's in the audience, and his wife Jenny, George Williman, Rachel Parker. There are others I could continue to mention, but they're just wonderful people here when I come and visit. I've made a new friend, Dave Marsh, who's the projectionist tonight, who's going to be running the 70, and I've already seen his work as a projectionist, which never gets enough praise or privilege. Good projection, and I'm a big stickler about good projection because I consider myself a good projectionist. But I've seen his work just promoting some of these reels, and you're in for a really professional show tonight. Something that Michael Cimino would have been thrilled and proud of and whatnot. This film was made 33 years ago, and I have a 30-year obsession with it. I don't know what it was. It came out on home video, and I was like, what is this? And I was only probably about 15 or 16 at the time, but I started studying it, and then I found the book Final Cut, which was about the production. It was, written by a man who basically felt that he was, had worked at United Artists and felt that his career was scuttled, and he was burned by getting involved with Cimino and making this film, and understandably so. But it's a very interesting book and a very interesting account, and I reread it every few years just because it's got such fascinating stuff, whether I agree with everything in it or not. But and there's another book called Martin Scorsese and Michael Cimino that came out in 1985, and that's a good counterbalance because that gentleman talks about, I was hoping he would come tonight, apparently he's a teacher in Charlottesville. That book gives it kind of a counterbalance to at least the appreciation of the film and just how the studio treated it and what have you. You're in for a real treat because what we saw last night, which I had never really properly seen before, really is what I am now calling the desperation cut. When this version that you saw tonight failed so abysmally, not I think because of the quality of the film as much as it was just time to kick him to the curb. Basically he went and rejiggered the film, and he really reworked it so that there's a lot of differences in it. And in watching it last night, I saw all the little seams and things that, in that panic, I think I saw lots of redubbing of lines so that, so there was no mistake of what somebody was saying. Reshuffling of the music, reshuffling of scenes, and I felt that the whole experience, while fascinating, and especially for all the extra things in it that aren't in the original version, was a lot poorer for it. So to see this version tonight in this way is an amazing thing. Now, there's a lot that I can tell you about it, and I will do, hopefully, you're in for the whole experience, and I hope a lot of you will stay behind and we can do a real proper Q&A. I actually have a friend tonight named Vincent Pereira. He came all the way down from Jersey today. He just drove in, and he is I run the Michael Cimino's Facebook page, and within a few months of creating it, he joined, and I said, this guy is interested in this and knows as much about it as I do, and sometimes knows more about it than I do in different ways. And so we became friends over the page and over the film, and I've met him a few times, and I said, if possible, I have to have him here because he needs to be up here with me doing Q&A on this. He can tell you so much, anything that I can't remember about scenes or this or that, he usually knows what it is, and so he contributes a lot to that page. I hope you visit the page and maybe like it, because there's a lot of interesting information that we keep getting in from different people who worked on the film, who have come out of the woodwork. Just a couple weeks ago, I heard from a guy named Brian Buchanan out in Montana where the film was shot. He's sitting on a tub of 35mm slides that he took while he was on the production for 9 months, most of which have never been seen. I'm hoping we'll get more of those on the page. He's already put a few of them up. He was Chris Christopherson's stand-in. Amazing stuff. There's so many people that contributed to this production. And so, since you may see Deer Hunter tomorrow, this man won the Oscar for his second feature, Deer Hunter, and Best Picture. And it was you can see you can rewatch his winning that Oscar on YouTube. It got posted by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences recently. And within a week, less than a week of him winning that Oscar, he was out in Montana shooting this picture. And so, he's practically got an Oscar holding the 2 Oscars in his hands while he's making this film. And, yes, there was a great deal of pride and maybe a certain amount of arrogance and hubris, but I think there was also a tremendous amount of confidence in his abilities and skills as some, if not primarily a filmmaker, certainly an artist. Somebody who's very well versed in painting, the masters, and architecture, very into studied architecture, and makes films the way only he knows how to make them. In the Deer Hunter, there's a wedding sequence, and any other filmmaker might take 5, maybe 10 minutes to show this wedding, and he takes at least a half hour or 40 minutes or something, because he wants you to absorb the atmosphere. He wants you to absorb little things and little things, grace notes and things that he puts there. And the same with this picture. I think that the pace of this film is so unusual. People are not used to that. They go into this and they think, I'm going to see Lawrence of Arabia. I've seen an epic like that. It's, that kind of thing. And it certainly has those aspirations to be in the pantheon with Lawrence of Arabia or David Lean epic, but it's very unusual. It has a very specific kind of pace where he's going to reveal information to you the way he's going to, and you have to lean in, you have to pay attention, and you won't even get everything on the first viewing, but hopefully you'll become so immersed or entranced or fascinated by what you're seeing in such an unusual way to make a film that you might want to hopefully come back to it and maybe study the other versions, such as the Blu-ray that he recently prepared, which is somewhat different. It's roughly the same cut, but he made lots of little changes, and we can talk about that afterwards. Since we have 20 minutes shy of 4 hours ahead of us, we should get going. There's so much more. Oh, by the way, these programs that you picked up, I brought these down. These were produced for this premiere print that ran in New York City for a week, and I don't think too many of them got used, and that's why I was able to find a supply of them. So you're getting these some 33 years after the fact, what they were originally intended for, the screening of this very print that we're going to run tonight. Maybe we'll even do a trivia thing at the end, and there's this really impressive program that I have here, and maybe we'll do a trivia question, and one of you will end up with that. That'll be fun. Another thing I wanted you to know, something I put in the notes about the different versions, I